Welcome, everyone. Today, we're doing a deep dive into some truly ancient wisdom, drawing from the genesis of Gita's wisdom. We're going way back to a place called Kurukshetra, a sacred field. And on this field, you have two huge families, the Kauravas and the Pandavas, basically squaring off for this epic, almost unimaginable battle. Picture that tension. And it all kicks off with the blind king Dhritarashtra. He's the head of the Kauravas, and obviously he can't see the battlefield, so he's worried, deeply worried. And he asks his aide, Sanjaya, who has this divine sight. He asks him this absolutely crucial question. He says, "Oh, Sanjaya, tell me, what are my sons and the sons of Pandu actually doing? They're all gathered on this holy field, ready for war, but what's happening?"
Right. And what's so striking, isn't it, is how that simple question, just born out of anxiety about the fight, how it becomes the catalyst for something so much bigger than just, troop movements.
Yeah.
The source we're looking at, the genesis of Gita's wisdom, it really emphasizes this point. It says Kurukshetra wasn't just any old battleground. No, it was a place where, and I'm quoting loosely here, the greatest lessons of life were about to be spoken. And these are lessons that, amazingly, still guide us today.
Still guide us today. That's powerful.
It really is. And if you think about the bigger picture, that moment highlights something profound, I think. It shows that sometimes the really big battles, the toughest ones, they happen inside our own minds.
The internal conflict.
Yeah, exactly. And the Bhagavad Gita, which essentially springs right out of this conversation, it emerges almost like a guidebook, a way to think clearly when life feels like one big fight.
Okay, so the king's question sets it up. He wasn't the only one confused, right? The central figure, the warrior Arjuna, he has his own massive crisis.
Oh, absolutely. That's the core of it, really. The armies are lined up. Trumpets might be blowing. It's time. And Arjuna, he's this great Tandava warrior. He asks his charioteer, Krishna, to drive him between the armies. He looks across, and he sees his own people, his cousins, his uncles, his revered teachers.
People he loves and respects.
Precisely. And the thought of fighting them, of killing them, it just overwhelms him. The genesis of Gita's wisdom really paints this picture of just complete moral paralysis. He physically slumps down in the chariot, drops his famous bow, Gandiva, and he declares essentially, I can't. I will not fight.
Wow. So it's not cowardice, not fear of dying himself.
No, not primarily. It's deeper. It's this huge existential crisis, like what is the right thing to do when every single option seems wrong, seems to lead to terrible suffering? It's that ultimate internal battlefield, isn't it? When your duties clash, when the consequences look devastating either way.
Yeah, I think anyone listening can relate to that feeling. Facing a huge life choice where your head just feels like a war zone. Pros, cons, duties, personal costs. So Arjuna's in despair, utterly confused. How does Krishna, his charioteer, but also, his divine guide, how does he start to respond? What's the first step out of that paralysis?
Well, this is where the Gita gives us one of its most, I think, radical and practical teachings. It's the idea of karma yoga.
Yeah.
Basically, action without being attached to the result.
Action without attachment. Okay.
Yeah. Krishna doesn't just say snap out of it or ignore Arjuna's feelings. Not at all. But he challenges the basis of his despair, which is his focus on the potential outcomes, the fruits of the action. As the source explains, Krishna tells him essentially, look, your duty, your dharma as a warrior in this situation is to act, to fight. But you need to let go of your attachment to winning or losing. He famously says something like, you have a right to perform your duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action.
You control the effort, not the outcome.
You've got it. It's not about being cold or indifferent. It's about putting your full energy into doing what needs to be done, aligned with your purpose. But releasing that crippling anxiety about how it will all turn out. And for you listening right now, think about applying that maybe to a tough project at work or a difficult conversation you need to have. Focus on doing your part well, with integrity, without being paralyzed by worry over the results you can't fully control.
So pulling it all together, from a worried king asking a question on a battlefield thousands of years ago, through Arjuna's deep personal crisis, and then Krishna's profound advice, we see how this incredible wisdom, the Gita, came into being. It really does present itself as this timeless sort of framework, a guidebook.
A guidebook, exactly. For navigating those moments, big or small, when things feel confusing, conflicted.
Right.
Whether that's an external problem or maybe more often that internal struggle.
So the question becomes, how does that ancient guidebook speak to you today?
Right. And this deep dive, I hope, shows a glimpse of how that clarity, those insights from Kurukshetra, how they can help you. Help you become maybe a bit more calm, kind, and strong in the face of your own challenges, like a little warrior of peace in your own life. It's really about finding clear thought when your life feels like its own kind of battle.
So as we finish up here, maybe consider that. How can wisdom born from such intense conflict offer you a path to inner peace and strength today? What if every confusing moment wasn't just a problem, but maybe an opportunity? An opportunity to find your own inner guidebook, acting with purpose, not just chasing results. Something to think about.